welcome to Lately Coffee with Mary. I'm so glad you're joining me today. I have all my workout clothes because, as you know, if you're a mom, we basically just wear this as a uniform like every day because you never know. You never know when you might need to run and chase your kid that's running into the street, or there might be like a pickup soccer game and I need to be ready. I mean, usually that's not the case, and we just dress like we're gonna work out all day long because it makes us feel better. Like, maybe I'll work out, maybe I'll drop and do some lunges here in the living room, which I often do, and my husband laughs at me because it's like ridiculous. It's like 10 lunges, like it's really gonna make a difference. And I'm like, I did it, I worked out, I got something in. He's like, good, that's great. Like, meanwhile, he spends like an hour and a half working out, and I do like 10 lunges, and I'm like, okay, good, got it in. Like, I really just pushed myself in. So ridiculous. But anyway, so that's why I'm dressed like this. But I hope you're having a good day, and I feel like I wanted to tell you that I don't know, this past week it's been interesting because I've been talking about friendship this month, and I feel like there's certain people that we allow into our lives and certain people that come into our lives for different purposes, and a lot of times we're not very careful about who those people are, and we allow them just to speak into our situations and our circumstances, and it can be really detrimental when you just allow anybody to speak into your life and your circumstances. And I just was reminded of all of the wisdom that is found in Proverbs. Oh, hold on, let me grab my coffee because it's super cute cup. It's the Lavish Sisterhood. So this is the church that I go to. They have an amazing women's ministry. Side note, let me just plug for them. We are having an amazing event this Friday night at 7 p.m. The doors open at 6, and it's going to be awesome. We have a guest speaker coming in who travels all over the world to speak, and a guest worship leader. And it's going to be women of all different ages that come together and just hang out and are encouraged, and just spend the evening together. And then afterwards, there's going to be an after party, and I'll be hosting it. Me and my girl Carla will be having some fun, and I just really like to dance and be crazy, and I never get a chance except for at weddings. And now all of my friends are married except for these new young bucks that I know, so I'm looking forward to their weddings, but now I really have no weddings to go to dance. So this is such a fun opportunity to dance with the girls, with no creepy men standing around watching you, so you can just be crazy and not worry about what people are thinking about you. But such a fun night. I'm really looking forward to it, and if you live local, you should totally come check it out. And I'll be wearing a pink shirt that says sit with me, so come find me and sit with me, or I will find you more likely and make you sit with me, because I know it can be kind of uncomfortable or awkward to go to somewhere you've never been before. But there will be a whole group of people wearing these pink shirts, so you can sit with us if you don't know anybody. And if you live somewhere else and you don't go to my church, you live in a different state or country, I hope that you have a women's ministry in your church. And if you don't, you should start it. Like, seriously, it's amazing to just get together with women from all different walks of life and to come together monthly or annually or however often you guys are able to. It has been such a huge blessing to me at this church, and it's something I've never experienced at other churches. And so I just love it, and I'm so thankful that my church does it. Anyway, back to my story. I got sidetracked. So I wanted to tell you that when Proverbs, oh my word, so Proverbs is just chock full of wisdom. It's chock full of like those one-liners that just cut so deep and help you to be realigned with what God's heart is, because when we start looking to the world and we start looking around for advice and wisdom from people can give you wonderful advice, but if they aren't seeking the Lord and they're not close to the Lord, it's just advice from their own life experiences. It's just advice from what worked for them or what they think is good. And sometimes it does end up lining up with God's word, but not always. And so you just have to be careful with who you are seeking advice from and seeking wisdom from. And so ultimately we should be seeking that from God alone. But the Bible also tells us that it's wise and it's prudent for us to seek wisdom and counsel from other people. And so in Proverbs 12:15, it says, the way of a fool is right in her own eyes, but a wise man or woman listens to advice. And so oftentimes I can think that my way and way that I think something's supposed to go, or what plans I think I'm supposed to take, or steps I'm supposed to take, I can feel like, oh, this is great. It's a great idea because I'm an intelligent person and I'm college educated and all these things. That does not mean that I know the right thing every time. And so it is really wise for me to seek wisdom and counsel for especially big decisions in my life, but even smaller ones, like just to kind of check with the people in my life. What do you think about this? Does this sound like something that would line up with God's word? Like, do you hear from God anything regarding this situation? It's just something that I'm learning to do. And it's really like your own pride, just letting down your own pride and accepting the fact that we may not always be right, because oftentimes we do think that we have all the right answers. And so when we start looking at other people who see the world in a very different way from us, we can glean wisdom from them that they get from the Lord. And also in Proverbs 28:26, it says, whoever trusts his own mind is a fool, but he who walks in wisdom will be delivered. So trusting our own mind makes us a fool, where the world will tell you that you are smart enough and you know all the answers, you don't need anybody else, like you can figure it out. If it's right for you, then it's right, and all these different things. And God's word is just so counter that. It's so good because it sets us on the right track, because we can just listen to the world and think, well, if I think it's good and I like it, then it should be fine. It'll work out. But that's not what his word tells us. And so it's really important to seek wisdom and counsel from people that do know the Lord and that can kind of reaffirm whether or not the paths that we're taking or the steps that we're taking are in line with his word and his will for our lives. And so in order to do this, we need to have people in our life that we trust and people that seek the Lord for wisdom and that have wisdom from him. And I know recently I had a situation with one of my closest friends where she was able to confront me and to tell me a way that I had hurt her or that I had wounded her. And usually when I hate confrontation and avoid it at all costs. And so usually it's like a very wounding and hurtful situation if I ever feel like someone doesn't like me or if I hurt them or any of those kinds of things. But because I know her and I love her and I know her heart towards me, I was able to receive it in a completely different way. It still was like hurtful, like knowing that I had hurt her and the whole situation, but it was so much easier to handle and manage. And so in Proverbs 27:6, it says that faithful are the wounds of a friend, but profuse are the kisses of an enemy. And so people that you may think are your friends can be people that are, in one of those circles that you have near you, but they just give you affirmation after affirmation about everything that you're doing. And they never tell you when something you're doing might be hurtful, harmful, you might be leading down a bad path, like all of these different things. They are not willing to say those things to you because they may not feel close enough to you, or they may be afraid that it will ruin your relationship. And so a really close friend is someone who is willing to tell you those hard things. They're willing to tell you, you really hurt me, like this, that wasn't okay, and like be able to say that in hopes of still having reconciliation and still having a relationship. And I would much rather have people in my life now that are willing to tell me the hard truths and are willing to tell me the things that I may not want to hear, that I may not agree with, or that I may just be unaware of. Like, I want someone that kind of has my back in that way and that can see things that I don't see and that can tell me the things that I'm not aware of. And so I'm grateful to have friends like that, and I hope that you have friends like that as well. And if you don't, I will be that friend for you. But I know that it is really easy to surround ourselves with yes people and people that just agree with us about everything, because then when we go and tell them whatever's going on in our life, can you believe this or can you believe that? And they just are right there and like, I can't believe it. Oh my goodness. And they agree with everything we're saying. And yes, that might make us feel good in the moment, but it is detrimental to our walks with the Lord, because then we just start believing that everything we're feeling and everything that we think is correct, because the people around us are affirming that we're always correct and we're always wrong and we're always wounded and we're always hurt. And so I really am thankful for the friends that I have that are willing to tell me when, no, like they kind of were right, like you weren't right in that situation, or did you think about it from their perspective? Like people that are able to show me other aspects of any given situation and kind of see the full picture, because we're not always right. We don't always have all the answers, and God tells us to seek wisdom from our friends. So if you don't have those friends, then a great place to find them would be in a church. So if you don't already have a church, I would recommend looking for one or coming to my church with me if you don't have a church locally. But people that are in a church and that are seeking to know God better and to follow him definitely would be a good place to start. Not that every person in a church is close to the Lord, because trust me, people are human and sinful, and there's plenty of people in churches that are not anywhere near the Lord and claim to be Christians. So just because they go to church doesn't mean that they are the best people. You really have to spend time with them and kind of earn that trust and that respect with them. But anyways, I just wanted to share that with you today. It has been mulling around in my spirit, and so I thought I'd share it with you. But yeah, I hope if you live local, hopefully I'll see you Friday, and if not, then I will see you next week. Okay, bye-bye.